This video is going to cover Objective 3.1 practice tasks. The first step asks you to use the Simple Query Wizard to create a detailed query that contains all the fields in the campaign expenses table. You're going to go up to Create, and then you're going to hit Query Wizard. And it says create a simple query, so we're going to leave Simple Query selected. And then it says the table that we want, we are going to choose campaign. These are all queries. So we are looking for campaign expenses table. And then we're going to move all of the fields over, hit next, and then we're going to name the query Moss Access Query 1. Then it says open the query to view the information so we can view the results. So we'll hit finish, and then here's the results of that query. And then as you go through Access, it's always important, especially in these queries, unless you're going to use it again, to close each object out so you're not accidentally doing something in another object. So it says close out of that query, then use the Query Designer to create a select query based on the marketing campaigns table. So we're going to use Query Design, and we are going to add the marketing campaigns table. Close out of the Show Table dialog box. You're going to hover over the bottom border here and get a double-headed arrow and drag this down so you can view all the fields. And then it says add the fields campaign ID, country, and campaign budget. Then the next step is to save the query as Moss Access Query 2. And I just hit Control S. Then it says convert this query to an update query to increase campaign budgets by 10%. So we're going to click here to make it an update query, and we're going to update to campaign budget, and it's going to be 10%. But I'm not exactly sure how it wants the 10% in here, so I'm going to look at the old campaign budget. I'm going to hit Control S, and we created this based on the marketing campaigns table. So this says campaign budget, and that's in a money currency form. So we want to increase it by 10%. So here we're going to add an expression in which the campaign budget field is multiplied by 1.1, and then this will give it 100% and then increase it by 10%. So I'm going to type in bracket campaign times 1.1. And here you're going to go ahead and go to the Design tab and hit Run. It says you're about to update 9 rows, and you can say yes. And then if you go and look at the marketing campaign, this now has been increased by 10%. So now that this is an update query, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S, and you'll see that update query now appear in your navigation pane at the very bottom. So I'm going to close out of that update query. Then the next step then is to use the Query Designer to create a select query based on the campaign expenses, expense types, and marketing campaign tables. So we're going to go up to Create, go to Query Design, campaign expense types and marketing campaigns table. And then it says add the campaign ID and country fields. And then just double clicking to add these down here. And expense type. And the amount spent. I don't see amount spent field from the campaign expenses table. So it looks like I needed to add one more table. So I'm going to click up here to show table dialog box. And I'm going to click on campaign expenses, close out of this show table dialog box, and I'm going to add amount spent. Then we're going to save the query as Moss Access Query 3. And then it says to run the query to display the records returned by the select query. Then now convert this query to a crosstab query. Use the amount spent field as the value field. So to do this, we're going to go into design view, and I might have actually clicked the screen too quick for you to see, but you're here. We're going to go into design view, and then you're going to click on crosstab to convert this into a crosstab. Then once you convert it to a crosstab, it wants you to use the amount spent field as the value field, then use the country field as the row heading field and the expense type field as the column heading field. Select sum in the total row for the amount spent field. So this is where it's going to be handy to look at your results file. So I'm going to look up Moss Query 3 crosstab. Okay, so here it has campaign ID, country as the row heading, expense type as the column heading, amount spent as the value, and average. So I'm going to see if I can do a split screen here. And crosstab, we're going to use this as the row heading, the column heading, and the value. And this is going to be average. And then this crosstab will be complete. I'm going to hit Control S. And then one of the things I did notice is that the previous query 2 is a little bit different than what the results file has. And looking at it, either one of these is going to be acceptable. I know you guys are supposed to match the results file. I have 2 fields in my query, whereas, whoops, that's query 1. Oh, I apologize. There is only 1 field in that query, so I was getting mixed up between 1 and 2. So the next step then is to open the tasks query in design view. You can just right click on the query, go to design view, and then open the show table dialog box and add the marketing campaigns table to the query. And this, you can move this down. Whoops. Mine's kind of locking up because of the program I'm using to video record this. But I like to always stretch these out. Then it says from the marketing campaigns table, add the country field to the query. So I just double clicked it and it's going to pop up all the way down here at the end. And then run the query to display the results. So then you're going to hit run. Then it says open the Show Table Bot dialog box again and add the employees table to the query. Then remove the marketing campaigns table from the query designer. So you're going to right click and then hit remove table. Then it says join the tasks and employees tables by using the employment ID to assigned fields. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm just going to scroll down, and what you're doing is you're creating a relationship. You're going to use employee ID and assign to. So I'm going to click on employee ID on this table, and I'm going to drag and drop it on top of assign to on the second table. And that creates a relationship. Then you're going to add the assigned to field to the query. And then run the query to view the results. Use the option in the Join Properties dialog box to create an outer join that contains all the records from the tasks table. Run the query again to view how the outer join changes the query's results. So we're going to run it here, then go back in Design View, and we're going to be going to the Table Properties box. And you can click on Properties Sheet here. And actually close out of that. We're not going to go to that Properties Sheet. Let's just right click on the join line, go to Join Properties, and then here's where you're going to include all records from the employees table, and only I'm looking for all the records from the tasks table. So it looks like that's going to be option 3. Then we're going to hit OK and then hit run. And then I'm going to check this against the results file. This is the tasks query. You may have to click on this line, right click a couple times, go to Join Properties, yes, and it's option 3 that's been chosen. So then this completes objective 3.1.